Well, the other party texted me saying that Perez was on the case and just called them. But Perez was tampering with evidence, so I didn't want him to be on the case. So I'm calling to confirm which detective and why consistently I'm not heard.
Okay. Hold on for one moment, okay?
I'm sorry?
The service number. Your report number.
It's 033 713
Wait a minute, 033
713
713,
2022.
And your child's name? That person's name?
The child's name or the other party's name?
Whoever you made the report on, what's their name? Okay?
Okay.
Let me check for.
They hung up. Let me call back.
Hey, I thought I put you on hold. Hold on, I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem.
I'm sorry about that. All right, I'm gonna put you on hold this time.
Okay, thank you. Yes, this is Kiana Clark. I've wanted to know my rights when reporting interference with child custody. If I haven't been able to see my daughter since 2018, I'd like to know my rights in reporting that and how I can get access to my child and get the custody agreement enforced that I've been trying to get enforced since 2018.
Right, and so my understanding, Ms. Clark, is that, when I've spoken to you several times now, every time that you and I have spoken, you said that the courts are corrupt, and the police department's corrupt, DA's office is corrupt, family violence, or the family courts are corrupt. So I did a little bit of digging, in your case, and I spoke to CPS. CPS said that your rights have been terminated. Those were terminated in the 255th District Court in Dallas, right?
Yeah, but I think that there's a disconnect because I just want to be able to have access to my daughter, and I reported to you the corruption, and you're unwilling to report that and investigate it.
You do have, right? You do have access to your daughter. You've got you're allowed to have supervised visitation for 2 hours every week, and you've yet to do that.
I don't have access to the supervised visits as I've reported to you. In addition to that, I did report that the caseworker.
Ms. Clark, listen to me.
I'm not able to communicate. You keep interrupting, tampering with evidence.
It's not about what you've reported to me. It's about what the court has allowed you to do.
But sir, you're tampering with evidence because you won't let me speak and tell you the corruption. You're tampering with evidence.
No, I'm not.
Well, then let me speak. If you're a detective on the case, you need to let me speak, and you're not letting me speak.
I'm telling you what the court order says.
Right, but you have inaccurate information, and I can't report it to you because you won't let me speak. And that's tampering with evidence.
There's nothing that needs to be reported.
You won't let me report. If you're a detective on the case, you need to let me speak. You're tampering with evidence.
Based on the custody order.
You're tampering with evidence, sir. Let me tell you what happened. If you're the detective on the case and you're not tampering with evidence. That's a felony. That's a felony to tamper with evidence if you're the detective and won't let me speak.
Ms. Clark, no, it's not.
It is. Let me tell you what happened. If you're the detective on the case and you're investigating this case, let me speak.
Okay, tell me what happened.
Okay, there's a conspiracy to violate my civil rights. James Hastings made false statements to CPS, which no one will investigate. I reported to the 255th District Court 2018 that my custody rights were being violated, and they're ignoring it. All I want to do is see my daughter, even with the corrupt custody agreement. I'm telling you that there's corruption. Now, one would have to do is investigate to see the corruption. I had a false arrest 2018. My daughter witnessed it screaming in terror, and ever since then, I haven't had access to my daughter.
Okay.
So if James Hastings wanted to conspire and hinder my child custody rights out of corruption and then pulled out of the case, proper protocol wasn't followed. They didn't give me an attorney, and then when they didn't give me an attorney, pulled out of it. Now there's then set up the stepmom to do it. Now CPS is back in it, and CPS won't take the report that James Hastings and multiple false statements was made and threaten the police when I try to get information on the case.
Oh, so your problems are with the court?
Well, what I'm doing is I do have rights. So how many times if I'm not getting child custody, if the child custody is not being followed, how many times before it's referred over to the DA?
The child custody
If
is
it's
not
not,
being followed how? Because you're not going to your authorized supervised visitation, or what?
I'm not getting this, no one will enforce the supervised visits. I can't get any party to enforce it, the courts or the police department.
To enforce what? I guess I'm not understanding what you're wanting to.
The custody rights aren't being enforced, the visitation, or no one is enforcing my right for the visitation and doing an investigation on the corruption. No one will enforce my custody rights and do an investigation. CPS won't take the reports, the court won't take the reports, and the police department will not take the reports. And that's tampering with evidence.
It's not.
If I'm reporting things and you're refusing me an investigation and not putting accurate information in the reports, that is tampering with evidence.
No.
James Hastings made false statements, and I would like that in the report.
If you have a problem, Ms. Clark, if you have a problem with the custody agreement.
No, the custody agreement is not being enforced, sir. I can't get anyone to enforce it. So I would like to be able to keep on reporting.
The problem lies within you because you are not going to your authorized supervised visitations. That's where the problem lies. Your rights have been terminated between you and your rights, the rights to your daughter that you have or that you had have been terminated, right? For neglect and abuse, right? So everything that's in the custody agreement from now on, you are allowed, it states that you are allowed to have supervised visitations. You need to set those supervised visitations up so that you can see your daughter for 2 hours every week. But you're not doing that. And so there's nothing on our end that we can do for that because essentially you're the one who's not following the order. If you want to see your daughter, you can do that.
That's a false statement, sir.
You're
That's a
choosing
false
not to.
statement, and you have made multiple false statements, and tampering with evidence is a felony. That you're committing a crime right now.
Is that all you're going to say?
Well, I'm letting you know I remade the report. I'm not able to have access to my daughter, and the police department and the courts keep covering for it. Hindering a child custody agreement is a felony, and it's been going on years, ever since 2018 when she witnessed my false arrest. These are crimes that are getting ignored.
So the problem that you're having, again, and I've told you this several
No,
times.
what you're saying is inaccurate. You're bypassing the false statements that the caseworker made. You're bypassing that I've been reporting to the court ever since 2018. You're bypassing the fact that my daughter witnessed a false arrest, screaming in terror, and no one has cared about the pain and suffering we went through. You're bypassing
That
that.
has nothing to do with it, though.
Well, you may be bypassing it for profit or whatever reason you're bypassing it, but you're still bypassing the fact that she was screaming in terror, betrayed by the police department, arresting her mom for profit. You're forgetting that. You're forgetting that the court has ignored the custody agreement ever since 2018 for profit. You're forgetting that. You're forgetting that the investigations are being denied. People keep tampering with evidence, falsely arresting me, violating, mistreating me, and it keeps going on year after year, sir. You're forgetting that. I call to report. It does have everything to do with you if you're a detective on this case and you can continue to tamper with evidence, which is a felony, and nothing is done regarding it. I reported you're saying inaccurate information, which is a crime. I reported to you that ever since 2018, I have been denied access to my daughter by courts, police departments, and crimes have been committed to me, and you continually ignore it and sabotage evidence in the reports, which is a crime. I do not have access to my daughter. That's what I'm reporting. I've called Family Place FOP. They're denying it. I've called the court and let them know that she's been in contempt twice to the first custody agreement of 2018, which was ignored. And I've let them know years later, and the police department and the courts have ignored it. I do not have access to my daughter, which is what I reported to you, and you're tampering with evidence and won't put the full information in the report. I cannot get access to my child.
You have supervised visitations that you are allowed to.
I'm not getting them, and I'm reporting to you that I'm not able to get the supervised visits. No one would uphold the custody agreement, and you're ignoring it and making false statements in the report, saying that I'm not doing my part.
Why are you not holding your supervised visitations?
I'm not having access to the supervised visitations out of corruption, which I keep reporting to you, and you keep tampering with evidence and won't put that in the report. The court will not enforce. No one will enforce the custody.
To your supervised
No
visitation?
one will enforce the custody agreement for the supervised visitation. No one will take in the evidence that people are tampering with evidence to hinder my child custody rights was a felony. No one will take that into account.
Listen to me. What is preventing you from seeing your daughter?
No one will enforce the visitation. I can't get the courts to enforce it or the police department. I'm ready for the visitation now. Set it up. Well, set it up. Because I can't get anyone to enforce the custody visit to this day.
It's already been set
Okay,
up.
so what days is it? What days?
You're the one who has to call.
I've called. They won't return my calls. I've already reported that to you, and you keep tampering with evidence. I've already reported they won't call me back, and no one will enforce the custody agreement. What days do I need to see her?
Hang on just a second, okay?
Okay.
All right. You need to contact Faith and Liberty, right?
Yes, I've contacted them. They will not return my call.
So then your problem is with them.
No.
They're the ones who are supposed to set up your visitation, right?
Well, if you're a police officer and I reported corruption and you're a detective on the case, why won't you do your job and set up the visitation because it's been violated ever since 2018?
Well, your rights were terminated in 2019.
I know you keep reiterating that, and then tampering with evidence is a felony because I told you that the caseworker made false statements and my daughter witnessed my false arrest. But you keep telling me
I cannot
that
investigate courts, and I've told you that several
right,
times.
but you keep telling me that my rights were terminated, and I keep telling you it's out of corruption. It's been ignored ever since she witnessed my false arrest.
Okay.
So you keep reiterating that my rights were taken, but no one will hear that the corruption, and they keep covering for it,
Okay, well,
which is a crime. And that tampering with evidence is a felony.
Several times, and I'm going to tell you this for the last time, because once I tell you this, I'm going to hang up, because I'm done going back and forth with you. I'm going to tell you this. You have problems with the way the custody agreement has been.
It's not being followed, sir. No.
It's not being followed because the courts are corrupt. Everybody's corrupt, and I've told you this in the past. You just need to get a hold of the Attorney General's office, let them know that there's corruption going on everywhere in the city of Dallas, and then they will investigate that.
Okay, so I'd like to know my rights. I can keep reporting. Okay, so I can keep reporting each week that I don't get the child supervised visits.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll keep reporting.